A man who can take anything will find most things unsatisfying, and a man without memories is just a shell. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren. If you've never seen my face before, I'm your resident intuitive baddie. And we're gonna talk about this because I gotta return the book soon. And I'm almost finished. And as you can see, I actually have a lot of quotes that resonated with me here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to all of them. I'm only really going to bring up any of the ones that really sparked a thought that I feel is worth sharing, because some of them are just like, oh, I just feel this. So, yeah, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is it actually bridges off of themes that I was going through in the past week. And there is a video that I would say this is kind of like a part two. If you had already checked it out, it should I should have uploaded it either one or two before this one. I'm not entirely sure when this is going up. A couple videos before, but just to summarize, I talk about a moment I had with my daughter where she was looking at a puddle and she looked at her reflection in a puddle and she was just like, wow. And it was just like a moment of self discovery. But basically, from that moment, I had this recognition just that is something that can't be bought. That experience of experiencing her witnessing a first moment, that's not something that you can buy. And then I kind of just go on about how I'm pretty rich in that regard because I have a bank full of memories. So I think this line definitely very much echoes that. And I wanted to be able to create another video that is kind of like a follow-up to that one, that is a little bit more structured, a little bit more thought out. So hopefully you enjoy that. I do have notes for this one. So let's see how well I do with this. So breaking down that line from a psychological level, what does that mean? What it means is that when things are overly accessible, it doesn't it loses meaning. And then pretty much that satisfaction for anything requires a little bit of contrast and investment. So, that being said, what I want to say about that is the way that wealthy people tend to invest more into their lives, into how they are experiencing lives, whereas people who want to look rich or want to be on that level focus more on how they appear and not and just having possessions. It I believe I talk about this in that video too. If not that video, then a different video, because again, these topics have been kind of swirling. Like, this theme of topics has been prominent pretty recently. But I had watched a video by Myron Golden, and he was talking about getting rich before you act like you're rich, and how there's a lot of people who spend a lot of money to look rich when people don't really care. And I definitely see this because the more that I meet, the more that I've surrounded myself with wealthy people, it's like, yes, they have nice things, but they don't have nice things because they want to show it off to people. They have nice things because there is longevity in a lot of those nice things. And I want to kind of note how you can tell the difference between somebody who is truly wealthy and like a person that is trying to appear rich, because there are distinctions. And I believe this, and at the end of the day, this has nothing to do with money, because you can have a lot of money and still have a poor mindset or broke mindset. Because if you are living above your means, it doesn't matter that you're making a bunch of money every month. It's about, well, one, how much are you left with after, and how do you feel on the inside? So, one of the easiest ways that I would like to say is that, or that I'd like to kind of bring up the differentiation, is from my experience working at the luxury hotel. When I worked at the restaurant, particularly when I would work at nights, because during the day was all business people, so they were all somewhat wealthy. But at night, we would get a mixed crowd. You would get people who, yes, are wealthy. You'd get people who maybe saved up and have this and just really wanted to have a really nice out and just kind of splurge a little bit. And then you have people who are there because they want to appear like they're having more experiences that are synonymous with being rich. And the way that we were able to tell is when somebody was in very, very loud fashion. So think like somebody dripped out in Gucci for like no reason at all. And just somebody who just like dresses obnoxiously in these brands that in a way they're signaling, they're screaming out that I am wealthy because I am wearing these brands, as opposed to somebody who is actually wealthy. Most real wealthy people don't really care for brand names in that sense. It's like, yes, they care about certain brands that put out a certain quality, but real wealth, or like old people with old money, are people who either get their stuff tailored, custom made, or they get it in places that you can't really get anywhere else. So like a French boutique or somewhere in Milan, like places that regular people don't really have access to. So it's like they have things that are more one of a kind. And again, there it's more about this longevity factor, or the fact that it's like tailor made to them, that is what I really want to drive home. You like, once you really surround yourself with a lot of people who do either or, you're able to kind of gauge more so when you meet people. And in addition to that, I also want to speak on the difference in attitude. People who are truly wealthy are generally very gracious. They are, when they see people who help them, they see that as an investment as well. So they typically treat people who work for them, or people who serve them, if they're going out to something like a restaurant like where I was working, they look at those people with gratitude and treat them with respect. Whereas somebody who wants to appear rich will be extra demanding and kind of just, they will act with entitlement and treat the staff in a way where it's like, to, as if to say you're below me and you must do whatever I say. Unfortunately, I don't have like one-on-one, as many one-on-one interactions that I can pull from. It's more so what I get from the serving staff, because I was a hostess when I was there. So my interactions were short, but I did still get some of that where, for example, I remember there was a lady who was an influencer that came in. She ordered all of this stuff. She was actually really nice to the staff that was serving her, but then she didn't leave a tip. And it's so funny because in the video she praises the person that's serving her, but she didn't have enough gratitude, I want to say, to, okay, that's not how I want to say it. I want to make a disclaimer actually before I keep going on that point, where I don't truly believe in tipping culture. I do think that that's something that should be reserved for somebody who gives exceptional service. And it's just that when you're working in a luxury establishment, the service tends to be exceptional. So it's not far off to, I guess, expect tips. But what I'm trying to say is that in making observation, people who are wealthier, or at least have a wealthy enough mindset, they don't feel scarce when I guess reflecting how they felt about a service monetarily, as opposed to some other people. And I say this all to say, especially when you're going out to a restaurant where things cost a lot and you're splurging on all these things for yourself, but then you you can't show you can't leave a little bit of something for the people who are pretty much helping you in that influencing, because it was like a food review or whatever, I guess. um it just says a lot, because it says what it and again, this isn't to say that if you don't tip, like, that makes you a bad person or something. What I'm saying is that it's the scarcity mindset. It's the mindset that even though you felt that the person gave exceptional service, or that, or when you're acting entitled and demanding, and you're forcing people to go above and beyond for you, and then you're not reflecting that in the tip, when, and again, this is when it's like service and it's warranted and they are giving you more than exceptional service. It does say a lot about your mindset and how you actually view money, because it basically, ah so what it does is you're extracting maximum effort and then leaving nothing, which is basically it's making that scarcity mindset visible, especially to the people that you treat poorly. So let's see. What I want to touch on next is how having a broke mindset is a scarcity wound and not just like a financial habit. So this pattern doesn't have anything to do with money at all. I really truly believe that it has to do with your self-worth. And it comes down to the law of correspondence. So if you don't know, that it you might have heard before, as above so below, as within so without. What it means is that you call in the reality that is reflected by your core inner frequency. So if you believe that, or if you have a mindset that things are poor, or that you are poor, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you are always going to that is always going to be what is reflected back to you. So like I had said before, there are a ton of people. You know what, a great example of this, simple example, when somebody wins the lottery, right? There's You hear stories about this all the time. Someone wins the lottery and then they lose it all. Why does that happen? Because they have not calibrated their mindset to be able to hold that much money. And so they make decisions that don't don't help with the longevity of it, and that again reflect scarcity. So then they end up bringing themselves back down to a point where it's true again that they're poor or whatever it is. um and I guess just I just want to throw out another example. This can also show up in somebody who does make a lot of money, or have maintains like a very good amount of cash flow per month, but lives beyond their means, maybe. So it's like, yeah, they have nice house, nice car, nice possessions, but at the end of every month, they're not left with anything that can really be saved long term. And what that means is that at any point that there's some sort of emergency, they can easily fall under. So they're pretty much just trying to keep up with, sorry, the term that I'm looking for is they live paycheck to paycheck. It's just a higher paycheck. And the reason why is because instant gratification is the way that people medicate how they're really feeling inside. So the more that they are able to show that they have new things, the more they're able to, in that moment, feel like they're making some sort of progress. So, how you relate to money will always mirror how you relate to yourself. I'm thinking about I was gonna say a quote from Jordan Peterson, but a lecture that Jordan Peterson had mentioned where he talks about people who expect a raise but don't ask for one are typically people who just don't feel confident in themselves. And I think that that makes a very good point here, because if you don't believe that you're worth you're worth the raise that you're asking for, then you're just going to sit back and wait until somebody tells you that you are valuable enough, and you're going to expect that the raise will come to you if you just do hard work. But at the same time, if a company is already paying you a certain amount and you don't say anything, and you seem like you're okay doing that work and for that that wage, why would they increase it? They'd only increase it if they felt like they needed incentive for you to stay, meaning you have enough confidence to know what your worth is and seek out other opportunities, or be able to be poached by other people. And you could also look at it as like people who do sales or do marketing. They make the sale because they are confident in themselves, and that confidence reflects to the person that they are interacting with, that's buying from them, because they will feel the worth, whether it's in a product or like within themselves, right? And that's something that I'm trying to build, or I am working on building within myself, because I know what my worth is, but there is some sort of part of me that I guess I have to work on that, because when it comes to speech, when it comes to um, talking, in some regards, I do stutter a lot. I do ramble, and um, my insecurity can come out depending on how prepared I am with with whatever conversation I'm having. And I guess just with creating business in general. But again, I am just recognizing the pattern. I'm not out here judging anybody who feels this way or who acts a certain way because of how they might have been brought up, but it always roots back to childhood. How did you feel? How worthy did you feel as a child? How, like, when when your parents showed love, did you feel as though you had to earn it? Did you feel sometimes depleted, like you never could earn it? Um, so moving on from that point, I had mentioned that wealthy people treat things like investments. They treat money as a tool for investment and not performance. So real wealth is typically quiet because you don't really need an audience. If you're wealthy and you know it, you don't need people to tell you. You know. And that's also it ties back into why with fashion specifically, or certain possessions, why people feel the need to go with these loud brands, because they want people to look at them and reflect and perceive them as wealthy, whereas a true wealthy person doesn't really care. So I did mention this already, that they, sorry, going off my notes, I did mention this already, where they buy quality things that last longer rather than for performance or to be loud, to signal out to people about what they have and how much it might have cost. Because anything that's well made that comes from some sort of small boutique is bound to last a lot longer and make much more of a difference and save in the long run, actually. So that's why it's an investment versus being head to toe in fucking Gucci. I'm trying to think of, see, but this is the thing. I'm not on that level of wealth yet where I know what type of brands you could compare to, but yeah. The other thing that they invest into is their memories. So things that compound meaning over time. And it brings me back again to the little summary of the moment with my daughter, because there are certain things that you can pay for to create moments like this. Like if you were to take your family out on a vacation, the thing is, or the caveat is with this, is if you are not present during those moments or during those experiences that you pay for, it doesn't make a difference. If you can't if you can't actually be present enough to make memories that will last longer than the experience that you had, there really is no point in doing it. You're just going to another place. And again, this isn't something that is limited to money. You can go out and find somewhere new in your city to explore with your family, your loved ones, with even by yourself. I the other day was just shown that the Bluffs, where I record sometimes, has another part to it that has a beach. I have lived here for 30 years and I didn't know that there was another side with a beach. So it just goes to show that there's always room for exploration, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that you have to go to another country or something to have a new experience. You can have new experiences here, but what it really comes down to is how present are you during these experiences? How present are you when you're around the people that you love? How much how are you able to remember anything if you aren't paying attention? So, pretty much what, to summarize that point there, is the goal for them is always, with their money, is always longevity. Whether it is investing their money to grow more, investing in their time, their quality of time, their quality of a product, and segueing into the next point, into their health, their body, their vessel. A lot of people like to treat their bodies kind of like a liability, to be honest. But people who are wealthier, they invest in their health. If you're not able to take care of your body, how can you enjoy any of it? How can you enjoy any of your experience, your memories, the wealth? If your body doesn't work, how can you show up to experience those things fully? So, certain things, let's see, what do I have written down here? Mm. So people coming more from like a broke mindset, I want to say, may skip out on a gym membership. They might buy cheaper foods. They might ignore their health until it actually becomes a crisis. It's the same thing as the material thing, but it's applied to the body. And that kind of just, I hate that this is getting so scattered. I'm so sorry. um, but just going back to the longevity piece, if you invest in something like fast fashion, it might work for you in the moment, right? But the quality of those things aren't going to last as long. So in the long run, you might end up actually spending more. Say we're talking about a jacket, right? Say you order this jacket from Shein. It looks great. It makes you look good. But versus maybe a jacket that is say $300. It's like say you spend $50 on this jacket and that jacket lasts a year before it starts breaking down, maybe not even. As opposed to a different jacket that costs more but will last 10 years. Could last even generations if you pass it down and it just does, and the only reason why you stop using it is because of your like a change in size or something like I don't know, you just don't like the style anymore. But it's not that the jacket broke down and that you cannot use it anymore. It's that you're making an active choice not to choose it. Whereas you get the cheaper jacket and then you have to replace it anyways in about a year. And then you do the same thing and you create the same cycle. That's how a lot of broke people don't recognize that they're actually keeping themselves broke in that sense, because they don't want to spend that money up front, so they find whatever the shortcut is, I want to say, not realizing that it takes them on a detour that actually makes everything take longer. So that being said, going back to now health, or extrapolating that to health, it's the same thing where, yeah, you can go to McDonald's every day and it's cheaper, but what quality of food is that you're giving to your body? And what does that signal to your body? So, hold on a second. Um, ah, so yeah, when you're thinking about this in a health way, when you ignore everything about your health until it becomes a crisis, it gives that same thing where it's like, it's okay, I'll just skip out here, this is cheaper, I'll just get the cheaper thing, forget about anything, I don't know, like organic, or vegetables are too expensive, I'm just gonna get the chips because it's cheaper. Or like if you're thinking about snacks, I don't know, the chips, there's more chips in the bag, it's gonna last longer than this pack of berries. But then once you're hit with not having a choice, because it's like, well, shit, you've been eating chips all of this time and now you have cancer. So you can't eat any of that shit anymore. And now not only do you have to invest in better food, but now you have to pay for treatment, and you can't work as much, so you're losing there. It's like, that's what I mean by compound effect, is that you ignore it in the beginning thinking that this is better for you financially now, but not seeing how later down the pipeline it's actually going to cost you more. And what I'm trying to say is wealthy people do invest into their health in that way. And I know that there could be arguments about how, like, oh well, yeah, of course they can because they have the money to do it. But again, this is about a mindset. This isn't actually about money. it's like you don't have to have a gym membership to work out every day. You can do, there are plenty of home workouts. There are plenty of ways that you can buy in bulk and cook for yourself, cook healthy meals for yourself in a way that doesn't hurt your wallet as much or brings down the cost, or it makes the cost reasonable. But it just takes a little bit more effort, and having that recognition that putting in that effort now results in longevity later. Oh, why did I should have checked the order of this because I already talked about presents as well. I'll reiterate. um, but this section of notes that I have here is talking about how, again, presence makes everything mean more. You can have all the money in the world and it's going to mean nothing if you're on your fucking phone all the time. And it's such an interesting time for us because with technology on the rise and all the things that you can do with technology, it's just so easy to slip into always being consumed by it, or even feeling like documenting some of these things is a replacement for feeling them in the moment. I don't judge anyone that does this, but I think about how, especially as parents, there's so many of us that just have hundreds of, or like thousands of pictures and clips of our kids and things that they're doing, but sometimes when you stop and take out that phone, it takes you out of the moment. And I struggled with this for a really long time because I always needed a balance between the two. And that's what I want to take away from here, or what I want people to take away from here. Oh my god. I also want to note that it is almost 4 a.m. So maybe this is why I'm struggling as well. I don't know. But yeah, I had a struggle between almost never documenting anything because I never wanted to break the moment to take the camera out, but then also recognizing that it is important to have moments to look back on, to moments in that where you take a picture or take a video that you can go back to and kind of allow yourself to relive certain moments. But the thing is when there's, again, like there's too much of anything is not good. So it's like if you are constantly recording, constantly taking out your phone to record these moments, so much so to the point where you don't even really have the capacity to go back and look through all of that stuff because it's excessive. There we go. Um yeah, there's just certain moments that aren't meant to be documented and they're meant to be there. And I just had a flash from a is it from another book? Yes, from another book that kind of talked about how the strongest memories we have are the ones that brought us into presence. So yeah, um just to kind of wrap everything up, I'll reiterate a quote that I also already said. I think I already mentioned in the previous video, but it alludes to the real definition of wealth. And Bob Marley said it perfectly that, or well, he didn't say it. It's like he questioned it because he asked the interviewer, um, what makes you rich? And then, or what do you mean by rich? When the interviewer asked him if he was rich. And the interviewer said, do you have a lot of possessions? And Bob Marley goes, possessions make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life. Invest in your experiences because a bank full of memories is worth so much more to you than what your actual bank account says. Because when you come to the end of your life, assume, depending on what you believe in, but going with what I believe in, which is reincarnation, you create your memories create a soul print for you that carries on to the next lifetime. So, and that is something that money does not do. You leave this present body and you go to your next life, or you go back to the ethers before coming back down, you don't take that money with you. That money stays in the 3D. But the memories you make and how that imprints on your soul, even though you probably won't remember the memories like that, or you won't carry the specific memories into your next life, it is the impact that those memories had on you that sets the precedence for your next life. We are looking at Buddhist traditions. They believe that um, the karma that you had from your past life is what sets the stage for your next life. So they believe that people who might have done something really bad in their previous life are those who might get born into war-torn countries, something like that. So something to think about. Again, take that if it resonates. It doesn't have to. Whatever you believe in is what you believe in. That's just what resonates with me. So, yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this. It did still get a little bit rambly. We are working on it. But I want to thank you so much for being here. And if you would like to work on me when it comes to your mindset, your self concept, if you need somebody to reflect back to you how you've been thinking when it comes to your wealth, your self worth, hit me up in the description. You can find the links to contact me so that we can work together. And even if not, I want to thank you so much for listening to me and being here. And until next time, goodbye.